Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Ich warte seit Wochen auf diesen Tag und tanz vor Freude über den Asphalt. Als wär's ein Rhythmus, als gäb's ein Lied, das mich immer weiter durch die Straßen zieht. Komm dir entgegen.
Hello and welcome to Gegenpressing, the Bundesliga podcast. I'm Manu and he's Stefan Bienkowski. I'm back in Canada. Stefan is still in Scotland. Stefan, how is it going?
Yeah, I'm good. The only thing I really got to complain about today is I got a kind of cold sweat going down my back when I realized just how soon the new season is upon us, which obviously usually comes with great delight and joy for normal football fans, but for sports journalists, you're left thinking, shit, I've got so much stuff left to do. Yeah, I'm good. But I fear you've probably had a busier start to the week than me.
Oh yeah, it's been insane. I feel like this last week was an entire month. Can't believe I was only gone for 7 days, and I can't believe the rest of the Dortmund journalists actually have to still pack on Chicago, where Dortmund went to next. I have a few personal things to take care of this week, so I wasn't able to join Dortmund and for the Chicago part. And obviously, the plan is also to go to Germany for the Super Cup next week. So it was just a little bit tight, Stefan. But as last week felt like an eternity, and I'm still working my way through all the content. Look out this week. I'm doing another piece on Dortmund, obviously with everything that I've got. My focus this time around is on Sebastian Haller and what I think he can offer now that he's fully fit. He spoke to us during the training camp, and I think it was quite interesting what he said. But anyways, that's for later this week. Today is the transfer show, Stefan, and let's start with the other big German team who's currently also on the road. They're on the road in Asia, Bayern Munich. They're playing a bunch of friendlies there. And, the entire focus seems to be still on Harry Kane and what's going on with that transfer. We're keeping this brief. I think the two clubs are very, perceived very close. I think 20 million euros apart. And that seems like something that can be bridged. Everyone seems to be really optimistic that the deal can be done for the Super Cup, which would be, of course, very exciting for us, right? So that is the latest in Harry Kane. I don't want to dwell too much on it because I think when it does happen, you're probably getting wall-to-wall coverage from us as it is. So let's just stick to what we just said. But I think what we do want to discuss in more in depth today is Sadio Mané, who is now officially gone. He's moved to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. Bayern Munich received 30 million euros. So essentially pretty much what they paid to Liverpool. On top of that, they actually save on all the bonus payments they had to make to Liverpool should he have worked out. So that's some nice savings. The eye-watering feat that really struck me was that Mané is going to make 40 million euros a season there, which is almost twice of what he made at Bayern, Stefan. It's an incredible amount of money. But I think we also have to ask ourselves, why did it ultimately not work out for Mané at Bayern? And I think you had some thoughts on this.
Yeah, some thoughts and some articles and some posts and some other videos, actually. I was on the Robona TV with a good friend of yours last week, actually, on this Friday. Absolutely, yeah. So you can go check out his channel if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on the podcast. So yeah, I feel like I've got kind of Sadio Mané's career etched in the back walls of my brain at this moment in time, but yeah, I don't know. I have felt compelled to kind of write a few pieces about Mané's time at Bayern over the last couple of weeks, just because we all knew he was moving on, and we all knew that the history books would probably be quite harsh on his year at Bayern. And I did kind of feel compelled to kind of point out that it wasn't all his fault. If you look at his numbers in terms of his goals to assists per 90, in the Bundesliga. They're considerably better than what he did in the Premier League last season and the year before that. In fact, they're better than just about all his last 5 or 6 seasons, aside from the 1920 season. And, you know, I kind of came to the conclusion that he was kind of a victim of circumstance to a large extent at Bayern. When he was on the pitch and he was playing the position he wanted to play, I think he did exactly what he thought he was being signed to do. And I think what any kind of reasonable person would expect Sadio Mané to do. He's not a number 9. He's not a number 10. He's an inside forward who can use his pace and his abilities on the ball to create chances and score goals. He's not as clinical as number 9. He's perhaps not a playmaker like a winger or a central midfielder, but you know, he's just one of those very modern inside forwards. And I think when he was played in that position, he was perfectly good for Bayern, which his numbers do point to. You know, I think he can probably step away from his time at Bayern and look on paper and say, "I did what I was asked to do." I think the only issue comes from the fact that I still kind of maintain that I don't think Bayern really knew what they were signing, or perhaps more accurately, didn't care what they were signing. You know, Sadio Mané was a statement signing. He was a player that they could sign to kind of obviously compensate for the departure of Lewandowski, which we have to remember not only was, you know, also a very physical thing in the sense that they were losing a striker and they had to replace him, but it was also a kind of psychological thing for Bayern where they were losing a world star and they had to very quickly make it clear that they were still a destination for world stars, and that's what Sadio Mané was billed as. So, you know, we all kind of got caught up in the buzz when he joined the club, and of course Mané joined, but having still been at the peak of his powers at Liverpool, so there was every intention that he would help them win the Champions League. But as the season kind of rumbled on, you know, Nagelsmann kind of shifted his tactics a lot, and then of course Mané picked up a big injury, and I think it was in December, maybe the end of November, which ran all the way through to January. And by that point, you know, as we documented quite well in this podcast, from week to week, Bayern, or most specifically Nagelsmann, was under a huge amount of pressure to kind of reintroduce a number 9 into that formation. And Choupo-Moting was slotted in. He did a great job. And I guess that was kind of all she wrote for Sadio Mané at Bayern, wasn't it? Once, by the time he got back from his injury, there just wasn't a spot for him in that team.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.